You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Hello and welcome, everyone, to the Eternal Tournament Series. This is the Saturday Weekly, Week 4 for July 29th, 2017. I am, of course, your wonderful host, Bairdrus, and joined by my equally wonderful co-host, Sir Rhino.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you might be in the world. And I'm ready for some sweet, sweet Eternal action.
Yeah, I am as well. This is going to be another fantastic tournament. Obviously, last week was our first Set 2 tournament. We had just about 100 players. This week is going to be a little bit smaller. We're going to have 66 players, albeit still a 7-round tournament. So it should be pretty fun. We're going to get to see, hopefully, a lot of new and exciting decks based on looking at these deck lists that people have submitted. So it should be a lot of fun, including our first-round matchup, which is already looking pretty interesting, I have to say.
Yeah, we've got a couple big names here in our first round matchup. We've got AngryChicken, who's had a lot of success in his relatively short time in the Eternal Tournament series, bringing, of course, what he's most well known for, Big Combrei. Of course, there is a new Set 2 card in here, at least in his main deck and also in the sideboard, so we'll get to touch on that. On the other end of the table will be TheSkeeJay, and he's bringing Dark Heart is what he's calling it, but we saw basically this list last week or something very similar to it, where it's Praxis midrange Splashing Shadow for a bit better removal, plus you have the Dark Return, Predator's Instinct, Copper Conduit, like Xenon Killer's package in here. So it's Praxis midrange and Xenon Killer's kind of mashed together for just crazy shenanigans.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good stuff in here, so that's definitely an interesting list. Of course, yeah, as you said, AngryChicken, he's just going to be on a big Combrei, the deck that he is, of course, famous for, the one that gave him so much success in the Season 3 and 4 Invitationals. So we'll see how these players fare as we're about to jump into our first match. And, Rhino, how do you think this one's going to go here, just based on looking at these lists?
Well, looks like the match is underway. I think I'm going to give the edge to Combrei here. It's just got a pile of silences, which is nice in this matchup. And also, one of Praxis's big weaknesses is dealing with large units. That being said, they do have Annihilate to help with that. I think the real key cards here, though, that make me like Combrei a little more in this matchup is Mystic Ascendant and Reality Warden. Also, Xenon Obelisk. Generally, Xenon Obelisk is a weird thing to put in a mid-range, like, big units deck. But when you're against another mid-range big units deck, making your units just a little bit bigger goes a long way, especially when your opponent's removals are based on using Predator's Instinct and Obliterate and other burns.
Yeah, absolutely. See first few turns of the game going off pretty standard. Of course, players just playing power back and forth. AngryChicken's going to be the one to strike a first blood here, dropping a Seraph onto the board. And we do see that he has Spirit Guide, which is the new inclusion in his deck, in his hand already.
Yeah, Spirit Guide is a 3/3 for 3 with lifesteal, and also has Mentor, give the student lifesteal. So you can, give your Sandstorm Titan lifesteal, and then it's able to block the next turn. Opting to play it over something like Combrei Healer is what you normally see in that slot in the 3 spot. So maybe just that little bit of extra attack is what AngryChicken's looking for in this deck list. Plus, with Xenon Obelisk, its body becomes even better. So it'll certainly be interesting to see how that card performs here today.
Yeah, it definitely will be. And we see AngryChicken dropping a Xenon Obelisk here, and he is already going to go to town with the beats here. TheSkeeJay in a rough position. Yeah, he's staring down 10 damage already, and it's not like he's exactly happy to block with Copper Conduit here, although he is going to force himself to do it.
With Dark Return, he's just going to block this Conduit, bring it back. Probably the plan here, unless he's planning on obliterating on the next turn. But I think with this block, TheSkeeJay's plan is... Okay, no, he does go with the obliterate. I was going to say maybe go with the Dark Return, just have the biggest unit, hope they don't have Vanquish line, but that's not the case. Luckily, dodges a Reality Warden here. As Reality Warden will shut down this Dark Return if TheSkeeJay doesn't get it off before that happens.
Yeah, most certainly will. And I am a little curious as to see why TheSkeeJay went down the obliterate path. This is going to be a hard fought battle here to remove this Sandstorm Titan. I'm not seeing anything in his hand that immediately deals with it. A combination of the Carnosaur. Ooh, Annihilate just came off the top of the deck, though. I think that's going to be what he uses to clean this up here.
I think it'll be interesting to see if TheSkeeJay actually opts to annihilate the owl because it's a flyer.
That is true.
It's
Owl
notable
is
that
fairly threatening.
Yeah, it's notable that TheSkeeJay does not have triple time. He cannot Carnosaur or Heart of the Vault here. So if he Dark Returns, that's already a 5/5 Copper Conduit. With Annihilate, you still have 3 power left over, so the Copper Conduit becomes an 8/8. It's big enough to go toe-to-toe with this Titan, even if AngryChicken gets to 8 power. So yeah, it looks like TheSkeeJay opts to kill the flyer and get some beef on the ground to go toe-to-toe with this Titan, try and stabilize.
Yeah, it's good that you pointed that out, Rhino, because I was going to suggest a line with Predatory Carnosaur, but of course, as you said, he doesn't have 3 time influence, and we're already seeing a little bit of the constraint of playing this Praxis Splash Shadow deck is that you do have a lot of cards in this deck that require 3 of a certain faction's influence, and that is very hard to hit while also maintaining a third color.
So AngryChicken recognizing flyers are valuable here, silences their own Sandstorm Titan so that Valkyrie Enforcer is free to fly, and then Spirit Guide gives it lifesteal here. So TheSkeeJay responds with a top deck Quarry and might just grab the second torch here to kill the flyer.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards second torch as well. Like, that's a solid play here. It allows you to take care of the flyer. And when you look at the board and the fact that AngryChicken has no cards in hand and you still have Heart of the Vault and Predatory Carnosaur, you have to consider that you're in a pretty good position, assuming you find your third time. Like, AngryChicken's playing a little bit on the back foot now that he hasn't really secured the board very well. These double torches obviously going to basically bring us back to a standstill. Although AngryChicken picking up another flyer here, which is all he's really looking for in this matchup at this point.
Yeah, and Combrei's got plenty of them. 4 Valkyrie Enforcer, 4 Great Parliament. That's a good number of flyers. It's notable that AngryChicken still has like all of the Desert Marshals and Awaken Soon, so like a bit lower impact cards, but still lots of goodies. But TheSkeeJay finds the third time source, and that brings down the Carnosaur, which can kill the flyer.
Oh yeah, and we see an Awakened Student coming down here. Solid card, but it's a little late in the matchup for that. AngryChicken hasn't found another power. AngryChicken really is looking for that 8th power so he can make the units a little bit bigger, although he still has the problem of TheSkeeJay now has these very, very large bodies he's going to be dropping every turn, and Heart of the Vault's definitely going to give him some extra card advantages he's looking for.
Yep, TheSkeeJay going on the aggressions, going with the aggressive line here, trying to get some pressure going before AngryChicken finds a way to, especially just an 8th power, to make his units even bigger. By making this block, though, AngryChicken shouldn't lose 2 units, even with the Heart of the Vault ping. It'll be 1 damage short. So good move by AngryChicken there to throw, the 4/4 instead of the 3/3 in front. And TheSkeeJay opts to just play a Dawnwalker, which AngryChicken immediately draws a Desert Marshal.
Yeah, Desert Marshal pretty timely for that. Let's see what TheSkeeJay picked up on the following turn. He really doesn't need power or anything like here. Ooh. Going in, getting aggressive here.
And yeah, AngryChicken thinking, oh, I can just potentially swing back for lethal here, depending on what TheSkeeJay drops. And of course, TheSkeeJay now doesn't have any good targets for Heart of the Vault. It'll be interesting to see if he opts to drop it. And no, goes with this Sandstorm Titan here instead, trying to find something to kill with Heart of the Vault. But honestly, when an opponent's got a Xenon Obelisk in play, that's, I think, being a little too greedy. Of course, it is actually going to be able to kill this Desert Marshal, but it involves, AngryChicken not drawing a power.
Yeah, Desert Marshal is basically like one of the only hits in the deck, so I have to agree. I think you drop Heart of the Vault sooner than this, although getting Sandstorm Titan down is certainly good here in a state where TheSkeeJay is looking to continually get aggressive. We'll see how this plays out, though. I mean, TheSkeeJay certainly looks like he's taking a commanding lead here now. He certainly has the biggest units on the board. This Heart of the Vault's going to come in and get him another trade up, and he can still force through a ton of damage this turn. Reality Warden. Well, that's a pretty solid pickup for AngryChicken. Now he's got a blocker that can actually go toe-to-toe with these units.
Yeah, not only that, but it shuts down Dark Return as a good top deck for TheSkeeJay, which he has 3 more copies of still in his list. So it looks like we're just going to get into this grindy, stalled out board. But AngryChicken has the Obelisk and has the Seraphs. So I think that favors him. The one edge TheSkeeJay could have here is that he has Flame Blast in his list. And if they really stall out for a long time and AngryChicken never uses any of these lifesteal units here, maybe TheSkeeJay can close it out with that.
We see Heart of the Vault being warped off the top of the deck. In TheSkeeJay's hand, though, we do see one of those copies of Dark Return. He's going to have to find a way to get rid of Reality Warden. I'm trying to see what copies in his list he has. And AngryChicken finds Seraph, so that's going to be the board breaker.
Yeah, there's a Seraph, and as I talked about earlier, the deck doesn't have answers to Reality Warden. Annihilate doesn't kill it. You have to Flame Blast it for 9, or use Obliterate plus Torch. It's a rough spot to be in, and
that's a big Rhino Hunt pack.
Rhino Hunt pack, normally a 7/10 for 7 with Warp. Instead is an 18/24 for 8. And all right, there's a great Parliament from AngryChicken, but with 2 Sandstorm Titans in play, I don't know how relevant 2 6/6 Owls are going to be here. Although your opponent's at 12, you'll be 1 unit ahead. He's going to opt to just keep making very large things with Seraph, like a Sanctuary Priest.
Yeah, a solid 6/8 Sanctuary Priest there.
Mm-hmm.
Not the stat line you would normally see on that, but it is quite impressive as is. We're going to see the Rhino Hunt pack being swung in here to force TheSkeeJay to at least chump with something, if not trade away. He's most likely going to jump here. I can't see him trading away 4 units. That's just setting your opponent up for lethal. So this does put him under the pressure of finding a unit every single turn, though. Otherwise, AngryChicken will be able to just swing past him in the near future.
Yeah, TheSkeeJay somehow has to get to like 16 power and Flame Blast his opponent's face before they gain any life or die. Like, I think that's really TheSkeeJay's only out here. Diogo with an activation, though, could make something interesting happen.
Yeah, Diogo with an activation.
Yeah, you can't play inactivated this turn, but for those that aren't familiar with this card, Diogo, he has an ultimate that costs 8, and when you activate it, he gets double damage, and every unit in your deck gets double damage and charge.
Yeah, very powerful ability. I don't know if he's actually going to have a chance to use this, though, because looking at the board already, it looks like AngryChicken's going to be able to swing past TheSkeeJay starting next turn, and all the extra life he's going to gain is going to put him out of range, even if there were some way for TheSkeeJay to block and have a crackback.
Not only did AngryChicken get a 16/16 Champion of Wisdom that turn, but more importantly, drew a Protect, which means that Flame Blast out we were talking about is no longer an out.
Oh, and here comes the second Xenon Obelisk. This is just going to do it right here. AngryChicken's going to be able to swing past. He's going to have 2 lethal attackers no matter how you cut it here.
Yeah, and this game kind of went to the script I proposed right before the match started, right? The Combrei list just had slightly bigger units, gotten to this board stall, and has better late game value via Seraph and Obelisk.
Yeah, TheSkeeJay really needed to hit a good series of top decks there when AngryChicken had a very small board and was in top deck mode himself, and it just never really came together for him. He didn't get a ton going on, so we are going to see AngryChicken, of course, take down game 1 here as we're going to move into our players' sideboards.
All right, so let's start with, I guess, AngryChicken, the winner's sideboard. Notable cards here. For this matchup, really not a whole lot. Maybe Martial Ironthorn just to go a little rampy. Leave a Witness, another new set 2 card. If the board does get overwhelming, you can kind of reset it and keep your best unit around. Stand Together is a nice trick to have, but I imagine Chicken's really only looking to bring that in against, say, like other control decks, not really the mid-range matchup. I think you just lean on your obelisks here. And then, I don't know about Sphere Guide versus Combrei Heal in this matchup. I think I just go still with the guide. But I don't know if Chicken will change anything here. It's really a question of, is there something in his deck he wants to take out and upgrade somewhere? And I'm not sure there is, other than maybe getting a Leave a Witness in here or Thorn and going bigger.
Yeah, I have to agree with that completely. On the other side, let's check out TheSkeeJay, since TheSkeeJay went down a matchup. He's got 2 copies of Charchain Flail. Those stick out right away. He's also got copies of Sandviper. I mean, Sandviper in general is a pretty solid card here, but we also see that the Combrei player in general can afford to just sit around and build up their board until they can take you down in 1 turn. So Sandviper very questionably good.
I like the Statuary Maiden just as like a deadly unit that actually gets you value. I expect that to come in. Other than that, I mean, Sandviper still is a way to get in with some damage early, and it's relevant late. Like deadly units that can just be a thorn in Combrei's side. The Purify is notable as the only answer to Reality Warden in the entire list. It's not an answer in that it kills it. It's just an answer in that it shuts off Reality Warden's ability. So it looks like the Dawnwalkers are coming out and some Suffocates coming in. All right, sure. He's hoping those Shatterglass Mages can take out the Xenobelisk and have Suffocate work out. I'm not sure if that's the best plan here, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think Suffocate's okay. It takes care of Seraphs early. So when the Combrei player is dropping those Seraphs on turn 3 and 4 and they don't have the Obelisk to go with it, it can take care of it. But as you said, I mean, the second an Obelisk comes down, that shuts off most of your Suffocate targets. So it's a little questionable, but I think it's fine, actually.
If he's going to... he's cutting him. He had two things to cut this Suffocate. I think the same thought process was going through his mind of like, well, it can be nice, but is it that important to have?
Yeah, and I'm definitely not hating the cuts there. I think they were fine, but I don't think it was his strongest card in the matchup by any means. So what cards did we actually see brought in there? We did see the Statuary Maidens, I believe.
Yeah, the Maidens came in, and it looked like he just swapped Dawnwalkers for Sandvipers, essentially. Like, just get rid of these 4/1s that are going to get silenced and can't really swing through a whole lot. And instead get 1/2 deadlies that could also just get silenced and not swing through a whole lot. Like I'm not quite sure here. We'll see how it plays out though. I haven't seen Sandviper much in constructed yet. I'm interested to see what it brings to the table.
Yeah, I haven't seen it a particular amount either, so I'm curious to see what it looks like in this matchup. TheSkeeJay going to be on the play here. Just dropping some early power again, since these players are playing more mid-range decks, these first few turns are going to be pretty uninteractive. And TheSkeeJay's hand really is not fantastic, although he is going to pick up a Heart of the Vault off the top of the deck. We see that from his Warp.
Yeah, Heart of the Vault is a nice value card, but as we saw in the last game, it's not all about just getting value. It's about killing your opponent. And TheSkeeJay's doesn't have a second Fire Source yet, much less the third one. It's could be a problem here.
Yeah, he's going to be quite behind here. He does have the Statuary Maiden, but AngryChicken has the Valkyrie Enforcer in hand, as well as a Desert Marshal, so I'm sure he's going to be pretty happy to just go ahead and drop one of those here. And we do see Combrei Healer brought in for AngryChicken.
Yeah, so Chicken decided to bring in the Combrei Healers, I imagine, over the Spirit Guides. Notable that it dodges Torch, I would guess. And again, it sometimes is about building the largest unit, and Combrei Healer helps you build the largest unit. It is notable that AngryChicken is not on Double Justice yet, so that's why we did not see the Valkyrie Enforcer come down there, and instead the Desert Marshal. And AngryChicken wisely choosing to do it on their own turn, so as to not get into a weird dance with the Statue Maiden. It's easier to just silence it while TheSkeeJay was tapped out.
And this is a tough choice right here from TheSkeeJay, and he ends up going with the Sandviper. His Quarry cards were Sandviper and Obliterate, and a 4-cost Obliterate, while it is very powerful in this matchup, TheSkeeJay still doesn't have his second Fire, so it looks like he opted to play the card that he could at least get down on this turn, since he hasn't had a ton of interaction. On top of that, TheSkeeJay does have Predator's Instinct, so he can use the Sandviper to attack into something like the Sandstorm Titan if he needs to. He is holding Annihilate, so we're going to see Annihilate come down instead, which does allow him to use the Sandviper later to clean up any of the really nasty threats AngryChicken's going to be dropping.
Yeah, and I was talking earlier about how the deck didn't have answers to Reality Warden. I guess Predator's Instinct on a Sandviper can certainly do it. Of course, it has some risks in the face of a deck that's got Desert Marshals that can get in the way or whatever. But that is pretty cool, especially because Sandviper has an ultimate. You can ultimate it. When it dies, Dark Return it, ultimate it again. It can become a real threat. It's a pretty neat tech.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at the Predator's Instincts and Dark Returns, the Sand Viper does make a lot more sense. It's actually, yeah, a really cool combo out of TheSkeeJay. Of course, as we said, you do have to use a 2-card combo to set up that killer, and you need Dark Return to bring it back, and there is the problem of AngryChicken just having Desert Marshal at any point to take care of it. But it is still a very powerful combo, so we'll see how that plays out. We see AngryChicken building a giant owl right now, and I have to imagine this is going to be one of those cards TheSkeeJay chooses to take down with the Predator's Instinct.
Yeah, notable that this owl is now out of obliterate range, which is probably going to prompt TheSkeeJay to try and Predator's Instinct it. And AngryChicken has that Desert Marshal up, so we'll see if TheSkeeJay tries to pull the trigger on that. For now, he finds that crucial Seek power, gets the second fire source, and yeah, there goes the Predator's Instinct on Sand Viper.
Yeah, and this has Desert Marshal written all over it with the pause. AngryChicken, I have to imagine, is going to drop it here. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to take care of this. So the Sand Viper is going to trade off the Desert Marshal, and most importantly, it's silenced now, so that Dark Return in TheSkeeJay's hand is not going to be bringing it back like he would have liked it to.
Yep, and now it goes to AngryChicken's turn and finds a Seek power of his own to get a second Justice source here. So both players finally getting all the fixing that they mostly want. TheSkeeJay still needs a third fire source before he can cast this this Heart of the Vault, but at least the rest of his hand is castable. But in the meantime, he's getting beaten down by this owl.
Yeah, this owl is poking at him, and AngryChicken now on 6 power means he needs to find one more power to really get these Mystic Ascendants out and start churning out the cards here. And once AngryChicken has that card advantage and that power advantage, I don't think there's any world where TheSkeeJay is going to be able to beat him here.
And the silence on this Copper Conduit means if TheSkeeJay was hoping to Predator's Instinct it, kill it, bring it, or kill something, bring it back even bigger, that plan's not going to work out anymore. Now, if you bring back Copper Conduit, it's just coming back as a 5/5, which, while nice, isn't super spectacular. He does find the final fire source that he needs for the Heart of the Vault, but it's depleted and opts to just take out the 3/3 flyer with Obliterate.
Yeah, and now Reality Warden comes down. This is going to shut off that Dark Return in TheSkeeJay's hand, which is really where he's trying to get a lot of his interaction from with the Predator's Instinct. We see a Sandstorm Titan coming out of TheSkeeJay, which is a very important card here. It is going to stop the owl from killing him in a few turns, so this is going to bring us back to a bit of a board stall, although AngryChicken is holding 3 Mystic Ascendants at this point, so at any point that he wants to go ahead and get in there with some Mystic Ascendants, he's really just looking for power, and he's not really in a rush given the state of the board there, so this game is kind of just in AngryChicken's hand to play at his own pace.
Yeah, if I was AngryChicken, I'd think about playing the Mystic Ascendant here, but I think it's largely unnecessary, probably. Ooh, he's swinging with the Warden, just trying to clean up some of this board state. He figures he's either going to take out 2 units or a Sandstorm Titan, and he's happy with either of those exchanges. So there goes the Warden, and yeah, down comes one of the 3 Mystic Ascendants.
Yeah, and I have to say I like that play out of AngryChicken. You do put the Dark Returns back online for TheSkeeJay, but on the other hand, he's just trying to reduce what's on the board since he definitely has the units to take over in a very short amount of time. We see, obviously, Heart of the Vault coming down. We're going to see Killer get put on it, take care of the Mystic Ascendant.
Yeah, that power was a big draw there. He opted to go with the Heart of the Vault rather than just straight up using Predator's Instinct on Mystic Ascendant, and pays off, finds the undepleted power, and gets to kill the Mystic Ascendant on the same turn. And it would have been a bit safer to just play the Sandstorm Titan or something like that and give that Predator's Instinct. Opted to try and get a little more card advantage out of this Heart of the Vault.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been a lot safer to have just used the Predator's Instinct or even committed a second Sandstorm Titan there on the board, which we likely would have seen. But I kind of respect TheSkeeJay for go ahead and just dropping Heart of the Vault. He kind of realizes he's on the back foot right now, and he's trying to gain any kind of advantage he can at this point.
So here is a really nice swing from TheSkeeJay. With Dark Return in hand, you don't mind if Heart of the Vault dies. You just Dark Return it and kill the 5/8 bird that's probably going to block it. And yeah, AngryChicken recognizing that he's got some health to work with just lets the hit come through.
Yeah, definitely gotta let that Heart of the Vault go through here. You really cannot afford to have it Dark Returned. That's going to be pretty crucial. AngryChicken picking up a Protect. This Protect is going to be very, very important here in this matchup. As we talked about, Flame Blast going to be one of the ways SkeeJay is looking to close the game out, as well as, just fire and removal at some of AngryChicken's high-profile targets. So being able to protect them, it's going to increase his odds of winning this game by not a slim margin.
Yeah, SkeeJay wants to continue with the beatdown with this 6-6, but at the same time recognizes, AngryChicken's got him on 13 life at the moment. I like the continued plan of attacking with this Heart of the Vault and hoping that can somehow chip down your opponent enough that maybe you find some burn to finish this off. And if they ever do kill Heart of the Vault, remember, it has killer. It's not only coming back down doing 2 damage, and drawing a card. It's also has killer attached to its body. So it's going to do a lot of damage here.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely huge out of SkeeJay. So what I have to imagine he's going to do here with the triple block is he's going to put 6 damage on the Owl. He's going to use Dark Return to return Heart of the Vault. He's going to put the extra 2 damage at the Owl, and then he's going to use Killer to take down the Mystic Ascendant. And that's going to be a huge swing turn in his favor if this all goes off. Now, that being said, AngryChicken at least has the Protect to save the Owl if he wants to. Or, interesting, SkeeJay ends up taking down the Combrei healer.
Yeah, let's see, it comes back as a 7/7. So he's just going to, I guess, use it to kill everything but the Owl, is the move he went with, which is a little interesting considering he had a torch in hand, but opting to just take down as many units as possible rather than the biggest, most annoying one is certainly a fine option here. It leads him to being able to be more aggressive moving forward with like these Sandstorm Titans or whatever. Of course, being big Combrei, AngryChicken rips a Martial Ironthorn off the top, so we can get confirmation that he brought those in. And that's a 6/6 that's going to hold back these Sandstorm Titans for now.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if it really does hold back Sandstorm Titans. And with that Annihilate pickup, certainly not.
Well, Protect is a card.
Yeah, we are going to see Protect out here. I still don't think the Sandstorm Titans are going to get held back here. I have to imagine he's going to swing in and be willing to sacrifice the Torch just to get it off the board. If I'm in SkeeJay's position, I recognize that I need to be pushing damage here. I don't have an infinite clock because AngryChicken has these very powerful cards like Martial Ironthorn, like the Mystic Ascendant, Seraph, and Power.
At the same time, you've recognized you've already dealt with 2 Mystic Ascendants. It's he's thinking about hitting the Flyer instead of the Ironthorn. Again, that can make sense on a level in that if you're like suicide attacking your Titans, or if your AngryChicken gets 8 power, like you're not holding back this Flyer anymore. But either way, it's getting the Protect out. It didn't really matter which target you chose with Annihilate. And yeah, I think I agree with you that he's going to bash in here and try and finish one of them off with a torch, because he can only lose 1 Titan here. It's not like he can lose both.
Yeah, he can't lose both Titans here. And from his perspective, the Owl blocks cleanly. Obviously, we know SkeeJay has the torch to take care of either the Owl or the Marshal. He's going to opt for the Marshal here since that's where he was going to lose the unit anyway, which makes sense. And he was able to still push in 5 damage and set the board up. But now we see AngryChicken finally Mystic Ascendant and hitting the power. And this is what SkeeJay was worried about the whole time. And AngryChicken finds his 4th Mystic Ascendant in the matchup.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty incredible. AngryChicken finding probably the best card to go over the top of his opponent and finds the 8th power. This is going to get out of hand real quickly here for SkeeJay. He's going to have real trouble keeping up with what AngryChicken's doing here. And again, AngryChicken's at 17. He is far, far, far out of burn range right now.
Yeah, he is nowhere close to finishing this game out. He does have the Sand Viper, which would be good, and he was able to warp in the Shatterglass Mage, so that at least handles the Obelisk. And we see a Dark Return also picked up for SkeeJay. So once this Heart of the Vault dies, he can bring it back and use it another time, which will then be an 8/8 with Killer.
Yeah, you could also like just swing with the Viper there and try and get a little chip damage, but there's another Desert Marshal, and that's going to shut down a lot of the potential shenanigans out of SkeeJay here. And to Protect, man, I don't see how AngryChicken can lose at this point with all of these ways to mess with what SkeeJay's doing. SkeeJay somehow just has to swarm wide enough to get through all this, but that's a tall order here.
Yeah, it's a very tall order when you're staring down this 10-10 and 8-8 Mystic Ascendant, and it's not going to be getting any smaller. AngryChicken's got, obviously his own Sandstorm Titan as a 5/6 to follow up, Martial Ironthorn, which will eventually set him up for the one-sided board clear. This is looking very, very strong right now out of AngryChicken, and TheSkeeJay is wondering at this point what he can pick up. And Flame Blast is a start with a Warped Heart of the Vault as well.
Yeah, I think you got to do Heart of the Vault here. Just get more on the board. Just hit them in the face for 2. You'll see the pause, figure out that it's probably a Protect, and you're in trouble.
Yeah, he picks up another power, I'm pretty sure, off the Heart of the Vault, so that's not fantastic. AngryChicken with a Vanquish now. And I have to wonder why TheSkeeJay isn't chipping in here with the Sand Viper. I feel like at this point you have threats that can hold down what AngryChicken's board has to offer. And I feel like you just have to start putting that clock on your opponent. Like if the Sand Viper had attacked the last 2 turns in a row, AngryChicken would be sitting at 9 theoretically. And you're only 3 turns out, as well as you do have that option to eventually go wide and swarm the board.
Yeah. So AngryChicken opting to vanquish the 6/6 Heart of the Vault, not the 7/7 because that is the one with Killer. Even though he has Desert Marshal, it doesn't mean he's that interested in having to use it in that fashion if TheSkeeJay does have a Dark Return. Because he's also concerned about, the Sand Viper ever getting Killer, and he wants to save Marshal for that too. This Desert Marshal is a really important card that AngryChicken doesn't want to give his opponent
Yeah, and this is such a tough position for TheSkeeJay to play from. He has fantastic cards in his hand, but AngryChicken just has all the answers on the other side. Like, he has the Desert Marshal for this giant copper conduit, and AngryChicken even finds the Xenon Obelisk, so now he can go above it. And he's got the Protect for the Flame Blast. Like, this is such a struggle for TheSkeeJay, even though on the one hand, it almost looks like he has the better board, if not for these 2 Mystic Ascendants. Although TheSkeeJay finds another Shattered Glass Mage.
Here we go. Warp doing its thing.
Yeah.
And a Statuary Man. All right.
Oh.
And that gets the Protect out of hand from AngryChicken. Wow.
I can't believe he protects there. I don't understand why. Like, I don't think the 2/2 bonus is that important there. And that's going to open him up to the Flame Blast, as well as, I think he can just go wide here. TheSkeeJay should just be able to swing wide on his next turn and finish this off with a Flame Blast.
Drop Maiden and swing with your 3-attack Viper. If they don't block, Flame Blast is 2 away from lethal already. Like,
Viper pushes in the next turn.
We were talking about this. Yeah, we were talking about this chip damage with Viper and how you might want to try and get it wherever you can. And it's here we go. The Protect is down. This Flame Blast is very much alive. AngryChicken's got a couple silences here. It's not going to change the size of these units. AngryChicken does not have enough power to play all 3 units in hand, so he can only get 2 down here. And with 10 points of reach in TheSkeeJay's hand, that's lethal right now if he goes for it. Oh no, it's not. Two attack units would get through, so he'd be 1 short.
Yeah, he would be.
Let's see what happens.
2 attack short, or 1 attack short rather. Let's see where these silences come in. If this doesn't hit, interesting. He goes for the Flyers.
Okay.
But that powers him down. Now TheSkeeJay can swing in.
Yeah. Wow. So AngryChicken recognizing he's got to end this game quickly, just because TheSkeeJay can also end this game quickly, and he's just hoping AngryChicken does not have any kind of burn here. Now TheSkeeJay's doing the math, seeing like, okay, if my opponent has 1 Desert Marshal in hand, do I still have lethal? What's going on here? And we'll see what he opts to do.
Oh, he's using Dark Return. He's going to get back
Dark Return to get a interesting, and then swing. So he Dark Returns, then swings. Like, odd sequencing here from TheSkeeJay. I realize this is a long and complicated game. It's hard to figure out like exactly what's going on, but because now this Flame Blast does 9 instead of 10, and I'm sure AngryChicken's going to keep that in mind. I don't know if he's really going to keep that in mind with these blocks, but we'll see what happens.
I think it
just doesn't matter because of how many units he has. Like the difference between 9 and 10 damage here doesn't matter. I'm just not sure why he Dark Returned before combat. But regardless, it looks like, he Dark Returned to check for Protect.
Okay, that was the question I had. I wasn't sure if Dark Return gave the pause as well, since Protect, since it's not interacting with the enemy player.
Brilliant move. Yeah, that is totally it. By casting Dark Return, that would have given you a window to see if there was a Protect. And by seeing no pause there, he knows his opponent does not have a fast spell. Could still have Desert Marshal, but because it's just one Desert Marshal, you'd still have lethal here with the well, actually, you'd be one short of lethal or two short of lethal through Desert Marshal. But
you have to go for it either way, though.
You go for it. But that is why he
that.
Dark Returned. Oh my god, that's so smart. That was awesome play there by TheSkeeJay.
Yeah, TheSkeeJay making a fantastic play there. Obviously recognizing the fast spell is down, committing his whole board here, playing to his single out, and he is going to lock this up here. I don't see a way at all AngryChicken could possibly block this. He just doesn't have enough units. So TheSkeeJay is going to take this game once he throws this Flame Blast and bring us to 1-1. This has been a very, very heavy-hitting game here. Yeah, I mean,
AngryChicken had a bunch of silences that game, all 4 Mystic Ascendants. Of course, he was stuck on 6 power for a bit. But TheSkeeJay, these deadly units, the Viper, the Maidens, putting pressure on those silences, just overloading the protects. He just played enough threats via Warp that all this protection and board stall from Combrei eventually got overwhelmed. Just an awesome, awesome game. Really fun match.
Yeah, TheSkeeJay's just really not finding the tools he needed either. Like, he had the 2 Mystic Ascendants in play, and he was finding power, but he just wasn't finding a lot of his top end interaction. Like the Seraphs just weren't there, and I guess he just didn't have enough things. Like, if he had been hitting multiple units a turn, still finding power on his draw step, maybe he would have been able to get there. But very crucially, using the Protect to block the Obelisk there really kind of costing him the game. I'm not sure at that point if he's winning anyway. I mean, the board certainly is refavoring TheSkeeJay. He finally resecured the board, but that Protect there was just too crucial when it went down.
Like, yeah, I would have understood keeping the Obelisk if you're going on the get aggressive with your Owl plan, but the Owl wasn't even a 2-turn clock at that point. The Owl had 6 attack. TheSkeeJay was at 13. I'm just not sure what made him think he wanted to save that Obelisk there. That'll be something that I'm sure gets debated a lot. But anyway, we're on to game 3. TheSkeeJay's got all the fixing, except not a lot of it. He's got 1 of each influence, but only 2 power to show for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a little difficult. He at least does have the Sand Viper down to blunt any early aggression. And AngryChicken has that Leave a Witness in hand that we talked about. That right there was the card he was looking for in that last matchup.
Yeah, wow. Leave a Witness is a huge card in this kind of matchup. Lets you keep around either your Martial Ironthorn or your Mystic Ascendant and clear the rest of the board. So we'll see how that gets put to use here if it ever gets to that point. The way the other 2 games have gone, I think it will get to that point.
Yeah, it's probably going to. I mean, we're going to get to this stall unless AngryChicken can start these beatdowns early, and I guess it comes down to TheSkeeJay being able to find power. I mean, he's so power starved right now. And if he doesn't hit one on this draw, I mean, AngryChicken's able to curve out decently, although he doesn't have a lot he's curving out into. That's why he's willing to play the Great Parliament there on 4. Obviously, Combrei generally likes to save the Owls until later, but if you don't have anything to do for the first 6 or 7 turns of your game, you may as well just establish it and get in there. We see TheSkeeJay dropping the Sand Viper. He's going to use it to clean up the Owl here since he doesn't have a lot going on. And, this does make AngryChicken's hand pretty dead for now. No real threats to speak of. Of course, we'll see a bunch of large units coming out in a short amount of time, I have to imagine. And interestingly enough, TheSkeeJay being forced to play that Copper Conduit at 3-3 actually makes it dodge Vanquish here.
Yep, dodges Vanquish. Could die to Desert Marshal here, though. Desert Marshal's a 3-2, although I wouldn't be surprised if AngryChicken just leaves it as a 3-3 on the board and now opts to trade the Marshal with a complete. Sure, fair enough.
Yeah, and TheSkeeJay finally finds 4 power, so he'll at least be able to get Sandstorm Titan down on his next turn.
Yeah, and in the meantime, AngryChicken draws a Mystic Ascendant, but doesn't have the 7th power and probably wants to hold up Protect for it, so he'll just opt to pass do nothing there, which I'm sure TheSkeeJay is super happy to see, and also maybe a little concerned about if his opponent's on 6 power does nothing. Probably sniffs out that a Mystic Ascendant lurks.
Yeah, just not a ton going on in AngryChicken's hand. We do see him holding the Vanquish, though. Likely to see a Vanquish and Great Parliament play coming out here. Again, he'd rather have 2 Owls at this point, but I think just putting a unit on the board with a clean board here, allowing himself to start pressuring his opponent and forcing him to have answers. Definitely when TheSkeeJay is stuck on 4 power, makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, I could certainly see that, especially when once you do draw power, you're dropping an Ascendant, so you're not playing this Parliament for you don't even know when. Like, it's just so far in the future, and by then you're a big Combrei. You're going to draw other threats and things to do. I think it makes a lot of sense to get down the Owl, and AngryChicken agrees with that. So TheSkeeJay, desperately hoping to obliterate the Owl, does not get the opportunity to. Can drop a Copper Conduit here. I mean, the Dark Return can hit a Sandstorm Titan, but he can't cast the Titan. The Copper Conduit only has a 4/4, though, isn't big enough. Could Dark Return the Viper to kill this, just to get the 5/5 off the board? But I don't love that, especially as TheSkeeJay. You probably know your opponent has a Mystic Ascendant in hand at this point. I think he's really hoping to save, this Dark Return Viper for that, especially because it'll get out of obliterate range.
Yeah, I like either Dark Returning the Viper at a later time. There's also an interesting line of play you could kind of go down where you Dark Return back the Sandstorm Titan and you just play out the Copper Conduit as a 3/3, and then on the following turn you hope to hit a power and drop the Sandstorm Titan as well as play Killer on it. But you're still holding out for those power drops, and TheSkeeJay is just not finding them here. This is getting quite rough for him here. Looks like he's just going to attack
more
in for
Predator's
4,
Instinct.
but yeah, attacking in for 4 isn't great. And Predator's Instinct, while it can be a fantastic card, is pretty lackluster when you have no units to Predator's Instinct. So,
yeah, it's this deck usually leverages its units that should be larger than its opponents to use Predator's Instinct as a nice removal spell. Here, though, he's going to get 2 for 1, but he recognizes he's stuck on power, doesn't want to die to this 9 attack in the air, and trades off his Silence Copper Conduit. He can still bring it back here as a 5/5 with Dark Return with Killer if he wants to, but it looks like he's bringing back the Viper instead.
Yeah, and I like this dropping the Viper here. I like him getting aggressive and just cleaning the board up.
I am not as big of a fan of it, again, because I mentioned, I feel like at this point you should be able to recognize your opponent has a Mystic Ascendant in hand. You still are at 20 health. Like, that's a 4-turn clock. I think you would have been able to find a way to deal with that bird, but I guess he opts to deal with it, and we'll just try and figure out another way to deal with this Ascendant if it ever shows up. Instead, AngryChicken just drawing all the protection he needs, but nothing else to protect.
Yeah, and finally just running it out there. And wow, if TheSkeeJay can hit a power here, if he has that 5th power, he'll be able to take care of this Mystic Ascendant cleanly. And this is going to be a huge swing. And he has the 5th power, but it's that's pretty crucial here. So now the Mystic Ascendant is a 6/6, and on top of that, of course, he's got the Protect to keep it safe from these obliterates that'll be coming in.
Yeah, and TheSkeeJay finding now is 6 power, but it's all a little too late. The Protects are going to keep these units alive. Oh, wait
I was about to say, it depends.
Heart of the Vault.
If he goes with Heart of the Vault here and AngryChicken doesn't hit a power, he'll be able to put Predator's Instinct on it, and unfortunately, here it comes. Yeah, and now this is going to be just a little bit too far out of range here.
Yeah, has to chump block to not die. Yeah, AngryChicken going to drop the Sandstorm Titan, hold up 2 Protects, and this match is over. This was a tough one for TheSkeeJay to win just based on the draw. He drew all of his Predator's Instinct, was just stumbling on power in spots. AngryChicken just got to keep the pressure up and closed it out there.
Yeah, and that was exactly what he had to do there. And I definitely have to commend TheSkeeJay there. He played the match fantastically. I definitely feel like he played that last game as well as he could. That was just a very difficult situation for him to be in. He's taken a lot of damage coming down. So, yeah, it's a little unfortunate. But in the end, we do see AngryChicken bringing down the series 2-1 with his big Combrei list. Slightly modified, albeit changed there at the end to essentially be a stock list. We did see Leave a Witness come in, though, although we never saw it played. I have to imagine, though, Leave a Witness a very, very strong card in these mid-range matchups.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot nicer than Harshful in that you get to keep your biggest unit, which if it's a Mystic Ascendant on a board stall is huge, or a Seraph, that's huge. Even just a 5/5 or a 5/6, that's nice to keep around. So I like Leave a Witness in these Combrei mid-range lists, just as like we saw here, bring it into the sideboard for these mid-range mashups and give yourself a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, any edge you can get is important in these kind of matchups. As we saw, they are very back and forth. The big Combrei player certainly has an advantage, but it's not impossible for the practice mid-range deck to take over and take control of the matchup. But very well played out of both players. Both players that are very well liked and respected in the tournament scene. Obviously, TheSkeeJay and Chicken, two of the bigger names we have here. So a great early matchup. Shame they had to run into each other so early, but of course, I'm sure we'll be seeing much more of both of them later on in the tournament.
Yep, and I just got word, no backup matches for this round. It is coming to a close very shortly, and we will be back real soon with round 2 coverage.